This is Creepy and Geeky. Welcome to Creepy and Geeky. I'm your host, Robert, and on today's episode, I'm continuing my look at the MCU's Phase 5 with the second season of the Disney Plus show Loki with returning guest Violet Hammond. But first, it's time to talk to Donna about the stuff we got into this last week. How's it going, Donna?
Hey, Robert. I love when you talk to Violet. I love Violet. I just want to just publicly say that so she can hear that.
I'm
I have
sure she will
no
be happy.
problem.
She loves hearing you when you're on. So
I have no problem telling people I love them. I love her so much.
she's awesome. She's so much fun to have on. We have
Not that I
such a good
don't love
conversation.
you. I love the
Oh,
both of you
I know.
together.
I see how it is. It's not me. It's just
I
Violet.
had to say that. I didn't want to make it feel like it was like not a one-sided thing here. I
I
love
know
both
you
of you
love me because you
equally.
come on every week. So
But yeah, I'm doing well. Work is work, life is life, and we're
yeah,
almost out of January, so that's a good thing.
almost the January that's felt like a year. And it happens every year too. I don't know why I'm surprised, but every January feels like it's a year long.
I think it's because
Um,
we're still kind of in holiday mode. Our brains haven't shifted over to the fact that it's a new year and that it just doesn't, it feels like we're kind of stuck in molasses almost.
I guess I think it's just like it's just so cold and it's so gray and it's just
Hmm.
like bleh.
It's like an
Um,
eternity, son.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. It's like
Um,
that really long month before the really short month. So I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
We're getting closer to, all of the great movies that are coming out. So we just got to get over the
Yes.
January hump, as it were.
Yes. This next week, as of this recording, it'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow, I get to go watch Companion. So
Ooh.
I'm excited to go see that.
That's gonna be
So,
so much fun. I'm
oh, I
sorry. I
can't
I just
wait.
saw that trailer after we talked, and it was
Yes.
it was the best thing. I was like, I cannot wait to go see this movie.
Right? It's like the perfect dark comedy horror movie. It's just like I hope it does. I hope it's just as good as I'm hoping it will be.
Plus, comedy
So
horror is your jam. You love that
I
shit.
know.
Oh my gosh. So if you guys are hearing us talk about it, if you didn't go and see the trailer after we talked about it before,
Oh
go
man,
watch the
please go
trailer.
watch that trailer because it's awesome. So all right. All right. Well, I have three new trailers this week. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and go first because I
So
think that we might have some double ups.
I also have three new trailers this week. Hopefully not, but, I'll go ahead and start with this one. So, the first trailer I wanted to talk about is Christopher Landon's Drop.
Oh, okay, yeah. That one was not on my list, but I did remember seeing that. Yeah, it looks interesting. It looks very interesting.
That trailer looks fun.
Mm.
I love these movies that have the kind of Hitchcock appeal to it. You've got, like,
Yeah.
every person thrown into some crazy ass events and then folding in the little new technology of people
Yes.
airdropping stuff into your phone, which is why my Bluetooth is never on when I leave the house, just because I don't want
See, I
anybody
don't have an
airdropping
iPhone,
shit.
so it don't matter.
Dude, I don't
Android all the way.
I have gotten some weird ass shit when it's been airdropped. I don't wanna
See,
live
I
that
think
life.
that's the weirdest thing about iPhone too.
I
Like
don't like it.
not to derail, but like just I think that's such a weird thing that people can just drop random stuff to you. Like I don't like that. That feels like a weird security risk to me, like inside the system. Like I get that it's supposed to be fun and like, everything, but like you getting random shit from people just seems odd. And
It's just
especially given
creepy.
the nature of this trailer. So
Yeah, I think this is a big advertisement with this
yeah.
trailer to always have your Bluetooth off, never
It's a
have it
big
on when you are
advertisement to
out.
switch to Android.
Oh, stop. I'll be the first one to say I was never an iPhone person ever, 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 and I got my first one and I haven't looked back, but I did love
Oh
my
no.
Android. I did love
Oh,
my
I
Android.
am Android all the way. I will never buy iPhone. Never have, never will.
I might have to go back after
I'm telling.
seeing the trailer for this. I may I may wanna go back. But, if you haven't seen this trailer, it's all about a mom who goes out on a kind of blind date, and she gets airdropped a lot of anonymous little, I guess, instructions to her phone, and she has
Yes.
to do it or else her sister who's babysitting and her child will be in mortal danger. So
Right.
it looks very suspenseful. It looks
Yes.
really intense. I wasn't really feeling it when my kids told me about it, but then after seeing the trailer, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely sold on this one.
Yeah. I saw this in the theater first when we went to go see Wolfman. So I saw it in theaters and then forgot about it and then saw it on YouTube again and was like, "Oh yeah, that trailer." But it does look good. Like I'm not trying to dismiss it. It does look good. You're right about the Hitchcockiness of it. The Hitchcockianness of it. It's which reminds me that my daughter was watching or was like one of her friends was streaming Vertigo. And she was like, my daughter brought over her phone and was just like, "Do you know this movie?" And just like the one quick clip of it, which barely showed anything. And
Hmm.
I was like, "Yeah, it's Vertigo." And she was like, "What? How did you know that so fast?" I was like, "It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
Like, it's
it's
my
kind of hard
favorite
not to
Hitchcock movie."
know.
But yeah,
So
it's
that's my first one. What do you have to talk
okay.
about?
So I've got Hell of a Summer trailer.
Oh,
Uh,
that's such a great trailer.
oh my God, was that on your list?
It was, yeah, but
Okay,
that's fine. I
all
love
right.
this.
But yes, this looks so much fun. It's a throwback, like camp counselors getting killed by a slasher movie. But this one's co-directed by Finn Wolfhard. So it looks interesting. I'm not sure who the other guy is who's um, co-directing it, but I'm assuming it's his friend. Um, um, let's see, Billy Brick is who it is. But yeah, so they it's a as the counselors are getting Camp Pineway ready the night before the campers arrive, a mass killer begins killing the staff. So I mean, definitely 100% a throwback um, to
To the
the old
Friday the
80s
13th.
camper slasher things. Yeah, like Friday
Right.
the 13th and Sleepaway Camp, stuff like that. But it looks like a lot of fun. Definitely horror comedy. Definitely playing with the tropes and everything else. So it looks like so much fun. So
Yeah, it looks like Billy Brick was in Ghostbusters Afterlife, so
oh,
he's
okay, that makes sense
another
then.
young actor.
Yeah, so it makes sense. They
Yeah,
probably like became friends then um and then decided to make this movie together.
it does
But
look like a lot of fun. That the trailer for this, it
oh
has
yeah.
all of the beats of the slasher, the camp slasher tropes, and the kids being kind of modern. It's
Yeah, yeah,
very
exactly.
cute.
Yeah. So that's what's great about it. Definitely the modern twist on an old chestnut favorite. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Hell of a Summer is what it's called. I'm going to by the way, I'm going to try to remember to do this. I've been meaning to do this, but I'm going to try to add the links in the show notes for these specific trailers. That way, if you click on them or copy and paste them, however they go in, um, you can watch these trailers without having to search them up too
Oh,
hard.
that's such a great idea.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
So
that.
I've been meaning to do it for a while and I keep forgetting. So I'm going to try to remember to do that this time. So,
One of the other things I wanted to say about that trailer is that one of the stars of this film is I think it's Fred Hikinger. He was in the Fear Street trilogy movies.
mm,
And he's just so funny because it looks like he's a camp counselor who used to go to this camp, and they're like
right.
really razzing him about being, like
Even his
an
mom
old
is
guy
giving
at
him
the
a hard
camp.
time.
Yeah.
It's so
And they're
funny.
like, "Oh, you're so old." And he's like, "I'm 24."
Yeah.
know? I
Uh,
love
too
the how
funny.
they were just digging at this poor guy, and he was really great in the Fear Street trilogy as well. I loved him a lot in that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. All right. Well, what's your next thing?
Oh gosh, so that was already one of mine. So,
Yes,
so,
sorry.
no, no, that's fine. I mean, we always have at
I
least
know. We always
one.
at least have one that we double up on.
So, one trailer I just saw, it's actually a teaser, and I think you may have already seen it. I'm not sure, but it's a Death Cycle. Have you seen the teaser trailer
No.
for that? So this sounds like something that might be right up your alley. It's the premise is after the death of her sister, a woman is visited by a man who's looking to solve a series of murders by a motorcycle riding maniac. It's
Oh.
giving a lot of Giallo vibes, the shiny helmet, the shiny knife, and the teaser doesn't really give you much, which is wonderful, but it makes me want to see this movie. Like it's very um, short, but it gives you a good creepy edge to it.
Nice. That's very cool. I will definitely have to look that up. Okay, I see Death Cycle teaser there. All right, cool. I definitely I haven't like that's one of the things I haven't watched a lot of Giallo yet. I've watched a few, but most haven't been super impressive for
Hmm.
me. Um, they like there's been a couple that I've really liked, but I really like the stuff that is more modern that kind of uses the Giallo vibes, including this last year's Maxine, which like heavily had Giallo vibes going through it.
Right.
So I really dug that. Um, but yeah, it's yeah, the this sounds interesting. I'll have to check it out. All right. Well, my next thing is Yellow Jackets season three. Got a new trailer, and that was we just had a teaser not too long ago, but this trailer like kind of really expands on it. Really shows you a lot more. Looks like they're going to be delving a lot more into what happened to the girls in the past.
Hmm.
So we should be getting a lot more of their story. Um, but it also looks like we're getting some interesting things going on in the current time. We got Hilary Swank popping up as a new character. I don't know how prominent she's going to be, but it'll be definitely be interesting. If you liked the first two seasons, it looks like this season's going to be just as crazy and off the rails. So, but I'm on board for this show. It's a lot of fun. So, um,
I kind of like that they take the Lord of the Flies thing and just run
yeah,
rampant with it. It's
yeah.
always nice to see that from a female angle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's something you don't see explored all that often, so it's kind of cool to see, um, that angle of it because normally you get oh well the guy got boys will be boys. This is just what
Hmm.
happens, but what is it? What does it look like when it happens to all girls? So I love that this we're getting this aspect of it.
Yeah, and
So
we get the
it
whole
looks like well,
aftermath of what's happened
yeah,
and the kind of
exactly.
baggage that they carry after being there. It's probably one of my favorite shows out there right now,
Oh
to
yeah.
be
I mean,
honest
the
with you.
cast is just like so good.
Yes.
Both the teenagers and the adults. Like
Mhm.
the cast is just so good and they're so good at like um working together to make the portrayals sync up in both the young cast and the older cast.
Mhm.
So it works so good. So and it's great to see somebody like, Sophie Thatcher getting bigger and bigger in her like movie work off of this show, and then same with Jasmine Savoy Brown, and just everybody was just like great. So yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. All right, what's your next thing?
So the last thing I have is I just saw this trailer probably yesterday. That Shudder is having called The Dead Thing. Ooh, my voice cracked. The Dead Thing. Sorry about that, y'all. And it's gonna be debuting on Valentine's Day, which is I love these kind of horror romance movies gone terribly, terribly wrong.
Right.
But the trailer is interesting because we get to see a single woman going on these series of, I guess, Tinder type dates, and she ends up with one gentleman who seems to be the perfect guy. They hook up, they hang out, and then she sees him again, and he doesn't remember her. He doesn't
Oh,
remember being with her in the slightest bit. And
interesting.
turns into a kind of a murder mystery, sort of, except he's alive. It's just perplexing, almost to the
Yeah.
point where she's not sure if what happened happened. But it's called The Dead Thing. I'm curious as to what that means, what that title
Yeah.
means, and it looks really interesting. Once again, coming on Shutter on Valentine's Day, so
Awesome.
that'll
Yeah,
be a fun
Valentine's Day is
kind of
going to be a
date.
packed day with that
Yes,
and Captain America Brave New
Captain
World
America,
and Hard Eyes. Oh man, it's going to be a big
a lot
day.
of good stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you're old married people like Donna and I are, we'll probably have some time to watch that because
Oh my gosh.
because once we're old like this, we don't do much. So
It's been a while, you know. We're happy. Every day is
exactly.
Valentine's Day as far as we're concerned.
Exactly.
So
Well, it's even funnier when our anniversaries were weirdly, both of our anniversaries are weirdly right around Valentine's Day as
right.
well. So
You're absolutely right. I forgot all about that. Because yours is what, the day before or day
mine is
after?
ours is the day after. Yeah. Yeah. On the
Yeah, and
15th.
ours is on
On
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a
yeah.
win-win for my husband. He won't forget to get me something,
No,
right?
it's the same for me. It's like, oh yeah, I got to remember, it's easy to remember our anniversaries the day after Valentine's Day. So
Yes, I can tell you, people listening, it was purely out of that reason my husband picked that date. It wasn't because he was romantic. He is romantic, but it was purely because he knows if he F's up, he won't forget to get me something on that day.
ours was a year to the day after we started dating. So
Oh,
we started dating the day after Valentine's Day, and then a year later is when we got married. So
if it was up to me, I'd get married on fucking Halloween, but we didn't
right,
do that.
right. Yeah, we tried to get married earlier, but it was a whole family thing, so not worth getting into on the episode. But yeah, so
Oh
but
my
yeah.
goodness.
Anyway, all right. So my last thing is there's a new trailer for the Bong Joon-ho movie Mickey 17 with Robert Pattinson in it. I watched the original trailer for this, wasn't too
Hmm.
interested. I was just like, I mean, seems like a funny premise, but like I'm not one of those people who really is into Robert Pattinson. I have no grudge against him because of
Hmm.
Twilight or anything like that. Like I just none of the movies that he's been in have been things I've really super cared to see. Like I thought he was okay in Batman. But I didn't love that Batman. So it's but this movie looks so bizarre and weird. And this trailer um just I don't know, it won me over. So now
Yeah, I think
I'm
this newer
interested in
trailer
seeing
is
it.
way better than the
Yeah.
original one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does it makes you intrigued to watch this film.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
looks very silly at the same time.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's definitely full on like, going for that comedy vibe, going for like definitely some sci-fi, some interesting messaging going on and everything. So it's like a but it's got a good cast in it too. I think oh my God, I'm gonna blank on it now. I think I'm pretty sure Tony Collette's in it. I think Mark Ruffalo. I need to look it up though. But I'm pretty sure I'm correct on those. Um
Well, I know
yes, Tony Collette, Mark Ruffalo,
Stephen
Steven
Yeun's in
Yeun.
it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So I didn't remember seeing Steven Yeun in it, but definitely Tony Collette, Mark Ruffalo are in it. So that's awesome. I
I
love
think
Tony Collette.
Naomi April
N-
from the
Naomi
Blink
Aki.
Twice.
Yeah,
Aki, there it is.
yeah.
You guys know I mess up names left and right.
Every
I
time.
do. I
Yeah.
do. I'm
Yeah, she
honest
was in
about it.
Blink
I
twice.
screw it up
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah, but I love her. I'm glad that to see her in something else.
Yeah.
She's just, I mean, I don't know. Blink Twice was one of those movies that just knocked me on
Oh,
my
she was
butt
the
last
star of
year.
Blink twice. I get it.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Okay. I did not recognize her in the trailer for Mickey 17. Um, but yeah, no, she's but this looks a lot more fun, looks a lot more interesting than it did before. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely on board for it now. Um, so yeah. But definitely check out those trailers. I'll make sure to try to put those links in the show notes so that people can check them out. Um, but that's all I have for today. Um, and I think you are done too, right?
Yeah, that was it. That was all I had.
All right. So why don't we let people know what you got going on your podcast this week?
Okay. Well, I'm actually closing out my New Year, New Fear series of films. I'm getting so excited for next month. But to close this one out, I'm actually going to be talking about a Shudder film that debuted this past week, and
Mm.
it's called Grafted. It
Oh
actually is a
yeah.
2024 release, but it debuted on Shudder. So this one, a lot of people are touting it like Mean Girls meets The Substance, but in my opinion, it's more like Carrie and May meets the substance because there's a
Mm.
lot going on in this film. And so it's a directorial debut of Sasha Rainbow, a New Zealand director, and it's actually one of the better things that I've seen already at the beginning of this year. So you got to come over and hear me talk all about it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna have to check that out. I just added it to my watch list. So yeah, definitely check that out. I will give it a watch and give it a listen. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. All right. Well, that's all I have for today. And we'll go ahead and make sure to stay on and listen to the rest of the episode with Violet and I talking about the second season of Loki. It's a great conversation. It's a little bit shorter than I thought it was going to be because we ended up we talked about everything we wanted to talk about, but it definitely came in a little bit shorter than usual. But that's okay. Um, nice and sweet. Somehow Violet and I managed not to veer off into too many tangents, which is unusual for us. Because if you ever listen to an episode with Violet and I, we go off in a lot of tangents.
That's what I love about it.
I know. That's why I love having the conversations with her because they can go anywhere. But yeah, but it was still a lot of fun. So definitely stay on and listen to that. And Donna will be back next week to talk some more trailers and other stuff. But until then, stay creepy. On today's episode, we're continuing our look at the MCU's Phase 5 with another Disney Plus show, the second season of Loki. Joining me for this is returning guest Violet Hammond. Violet is the managing director of a theater in New York, and she's also been a guest on several other podcasts, including Frame to Frame, Movieversaries, Den of 10, and more. Welcome back to the show, Violet.
Thank you for having me. It's always a
Yeah,
pleasure.
yeah, always great to have you on for some fun.
Always fun.
We try to have fun here, especially with our goofy Marvel stuff.
hmm
So all right, but yeah, today we are talking Loki season 2. Um it's this season is great, but also like frustrating because of things that happened outside of it.
Yes. I
And
was like, the elephant in the room just hits you
yeah.
like right over the head, right?
Yeah, and I talked about this previously on my episode with Donna on Quantum Mania, and
Yep.
about how that all this potential that was supposed to be there with the character of Kang,
hmm
and that he was supposed to be the big bad for this set of phases, and
Yeah.
then it got completely screwed up by the actor's behavior outside of it.
hmm
And I talked about it then, and I still believe, and I've believed ever since this happened, that Marvel should have recast. They should have just
Yeah.
recast Kang, get somebody else in there, and continued the momentum by pivoting away and then going to Doom and then a Tony Stark version of Doom.
Yeah.
Kind of made a lot of people not happy. I'm willing to see what happens. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, man, it would have been really great to just continue that story. You already have the momentum, and it feels like between that, the like COVID, the writer's strike,
Yeah.
all that stuff compounded into like where Marvel was already kind of having like um was already kind of uneven after Endgame, that
Mm, mm-hmm.
this contributed even more so to it, and it kind of almost has derailed them completely in a way that um just I don't think, I mean, I'm hoping that, they're, from what I understand, is that um uh Captain America Brave New World is a repivot,
Mm,
like a
yeah.
realigning to kind of get get everything back on track in a way. Um, so there won't be, from what I understand, there's no multiverse, there's no aliens, there's nothing like that. It's just
Yeah.
guy
We're
on the ground,
yeah, exactly.
is
Going
back
back to
to,
that
yeah,
earthbound
yeah, the kind of the
spy
espionage,
feeling.
yeah,
Yes, all that stuff,
exactly.
which I
So
love. So
no, I
I'm
love
very,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm excited to see that one.
yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, Loki being part of Phase 5, we're coming up to the end of Phase 5. The end of Phase 5
Hmm.
is with Thunderbolts. So
Yes.
so we get the end of that, and then the start of the Phase 6 is the Fantastic Four movie, which also
Right.
comes out this year.
Yeah.
So we've got it's a
Crazy.
weird,
It's
and
a
they
weird
didn't put
year.
it's a weird year because like we've got Captain America in February, we've got
Hmm.
um
Thunderbolts in the
Thunder
spring.
Thunderbolts in, I'm not positive. Like I think it's in May.
Yeah, it's in the
Um
spring.
and then what's it called? Fantastic Four comes out, yeah, May 2nd is Thunderbolts. And then Fantastic Four comes out late July, I think.
Yeah, which
So
feels
towards the end of summer.
really too
It's
soon.
Yeah, it's like they should have pushed that to the November, how they were doing like some of them before, like they
Yeah.
would have one in spring, one in summer, one in fall. Um
Yes, like that Thanksgiving release time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would have been a better option in my mind. Putting it, I get that they're trying to capitalize on summer with it, and so it's fine, but it does feel a little rushed. And so I'm hopeful that, this all of this gets back on track.
Yeah.
But
But
uh
yeah, it's just that we're
yeah.
in like a situation of so many mixed messages where it's like we're going to slow down and really focus on what we're doing. We're going to give you 3 movies this year. We're going to it's just okay. So like
Right.
last year we had Deadpool and Wolverine and it was great. I feel
Yeah.
like they say things and then they really are just looking at each other like, are we sure this is what we want to do?
Right.
And I mean, some people are thrilled that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm happy. I'm also happy that Chris Evans was cast in it. I have no idea what's going on, but
Yeah. I don't,
I
yeah.
love him and I wanna see him, so I'm fine with that. Like, I get
Yeah.
there it always comes back to that whole thing of, like, fan service, fan service, fan service. Well, I'm a fan
Yeah.
and I like to be serviced. So,
Right.
if
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen, then I will most likely be cool with it, but
Yeah.
it is very sad to be in this situation where you're going this is the antithesis of what we had where everything felt so planned out and organized,
Well,
and then it just became and I know it's not always their fault.
right.
I do agree with you
Right.
that it would have been great if they had recast. I think they sat
Yeah.
on it for so
They
long and
did
got so
because
much like problems in the press and
yeah.
from fans for sitting on it for
Hmm.
forever.
Yeah,
And
because they
you get
waited to
those
find
people,
out
they
the
waited
results
to
of the
find
court
out the
case,
result of the
and
trial, and
like
I get it.
I get it,
But
but
at
at the
that
same
point, what's
time,
the
like it was a
difference? We
negative.
all already were like,
Exactly.
okay, we don't want this guy anymore.
Yeah. They
And
should
it's a
have immediately
shame.
just let him go and get somebody else.
Just
Yeah.
figure it out. You can't sit on this for the amount
Yeah.
of time that they sat on it, and
No,
it just
no.
created an even worse situation.
And the worst thing is that when because we're going to get into talking about this and everything like
Mhm,
that,
mhm.
he's a good actor. He's a
Oh
great
my
actor. He did
god.
so good with the character in both Quantumania and in this.
And Loki, yeah.
And it's just that's what's the most frustrating about it, is this wasted potential, and that just over something stupid, and like just the worst behaviors.
Yes.
And it's just we're seeing
We're
seeing it.
seeing it again. I was like, are we going to talk about this? Because it's true.
I mean, it's
Yes.
completely unrelated
But
and
is it
not
though?
about
It's the
Marvel. Well, not
business.
about Marvel, but
It's not about Marvel. But
this is,
yes.
yeah, let's talk about this because we
Let's just do it
yeah,
because
because
because it is all
just
connected.
yesterday there was an Vulture article about Neil Gaiman. And Neil
Yes,
Gaiman,
yes.
and we'd already known all about, like, we'd been hearing about this for a while. There were
Yeah,
all
we've been
the rumblings about things. There was some reporting on it and everything like that.
and how we're
And
gonna what we're gonna
most
change.
most
Mhm.
people were like, okay, yeah, fuck that guy. But
Mhm.
there were still some people holding out hope that they were just like, okay, well, let's wait and see. We believe the victims, but let's wait and see. And I'm like, okay, well, you don't believe the victims then.
Yeah.
You
If you
know,
want to wait and see, then yeah.
yeah. And so,
Mhm.
and I think that's kind of what happened with Marvel. Everybody's like, yeah, but come on. I get you want to wait for the thing, but like all the evidence is pointing out that, Majors wasn't that great of a
No.
person. So, and you don't want that kind of stain on your uh properties.
Right.
And so yeah, so the Neil Gaiman thing, I haven't been able to read the article because it was behind a paywall.
Okay.
And so I want to read the article. I hear it's like intense and really, really bad. And it's
Ugh.
like, from what I've heard, it's on the level of Bill Cosby.
No, no, no.
Really?
Oh my
Oh, you
God.
haven't read it.
I haven't read
Okay.
it yet.
Oh yeah,
No, I
no,
haven't
that's
read
what.
it
Oh,
yet.
okay. I thought you were saying that it wasn't as bad. But yeah, no, that's what I've heard somebody say was it's analogous to that. Um, and it's horrid from what I've heard. It's just it's so bad. It's like the worst thing you could think of for somebody like that. Somebody
Yeah.
in that position that
Mhm.
has like been championing women and everything else, and then turns
Yes.
out to be the worst kind of person for women.
It's
Um,
always the way. It's always
yeah,
the way. Justin Baldoni is the same way. Because that's the
yeah.
situation I was thinking about. Because
Oh, that's
I
funny.
have been
Interesting.
like
Yeah, yeah,
consumed by that. It's not
yeah.
on topic to this podcast at all.
No,
But
but
this is
yeah,
the pattern of
but it's
behavior
yes.
in the media, in
Mhm.
entertainment. So we have
Yeah,
these men who are able to get away with it. It's not like Jonathan Majors beat up his girlfriend and that's the first time he did something bad. There were
no.
bad reports of his behavior
Mhm.
on other sets, in other projects, and
Yeah,
he was such a good actor that it's like passing somebody along in school. It's like,
yep,
well, they're really good in the other subjects, so
yeah,
we'll give
yeah,
him an A in math and keep him going.
yeah,
This is the pattern. This is what happens with these men, and we were able to get a clear ending to it in the MCU with
yeah,
him, but now
yeah,
it's picking up the pieces.
yeah.
And
And
it's
I
a
think
shame. It is a shame.
yeah, and I think that's the frustrating part for myself is just that as somebody who really enjoys the character of Kang from the comic books, that I really would have preferred seeing the character continue and get the full breadth of the story that we should have gotten,
Yes.
rather than pivoting and doing something that, as much as I think the Robert Downey Jr. casting is fine.
Mhm.
I'm very interested to see what they do with it.
Mhm.
I know people are concerned. They're like, "Oh, this is gonna be our first view of Doom in the MCU," and I'm like, yeah, but it's not the Doom. It's not Victor. It's going to be Tony Stark as Doom. It's not going to be anything other than that.
Mhm.
And so it's so it should be interesting. And that's but again, I really wish they would have recast and
Yes.
continued going where they were going, because then they wouldn't have had to reconfigure everything they were going to
Right.
do. And try to, like, because I'm sure that's what part of some of the reshoots and everything else they were trying to do
Mm.
with all these other movies was kind of like, okay, so now we have to guide the rest of this away from that and back over to
Mm.
this. So it's just it's a mess. But
Like,
anyway,
he's really good, but I can't imagine there's no one else
yeah,
who was able to
exactly.
do
And
this.
Marvel's recast before. That's what's so
Mhm.
frustrating, is they've done it multiple times. Hell, Loki, speaking of Loki, has introduced the concept of variants that don't look like these people. All you had to do
Yep.
was kill off this version of him, bring in a different version. Yeah, sure. At the end of
Mhm.
Quantumania, we saw a whole bunch of them that look exactly like him, but that doesn't mean those were the sole ones.
Right.
So
Exactly.
anyway, it's just so frustrating. Anyway, back to Loki.
Would've, could've,
The
should've.
main stuff of Loki, while it
Yes.
does involve Victor Timely, which is a variant of Kang,
Mhm.
um, is mostly about Loki, and
Yes.
which it should be. Loki in the aftermath of the first season, where they killed He Who Remains,
Yes.
and let loose the multiverse
Mhm.
off of the sacred timeline. And so they're dealing with the problems for that. And the main problem is that so many multiple timelines are now converging through this thing called the loom, which
Mhm.
is to kind of combine them all. And I don't know, it's weird because it's like I don't know why they need to funnel
Uh,
them all through the loom.
I don't think they know
Because
why either.
yeah,
Gonna be honest. I don't think
yeah.
they know what they're doing either.
So
Not to say that it's not fun, and
no,
but
it's a great show.
don't
Um,
look at it too closely.
yeah, and so it's just they're trying to stop the multiversal war thing that's supposed to be happening at the
Mhm.
same time, but like you know Loki and Sophie or Sylvie,
Mhm.
um
It's
she they
confusing because her name is
her
Sophia, so
name is
I'm always
Sophia. That's what
so
messed me up because I was
yeah,
like, wait, her name is Sophia, and then she's going by so, and then I was like, oh no, wait, it's
Sylvie.
Sylvie.
Wait, yeah.
Um,
That
they
gets
are,
me too, don't worry.
yeah, they're basically of the mind that they, well, Sylvie is mostly of the mind that people deserve free will, even if that means
Mhm.
they all die. Because they actually
Yes.
get to die being who they were rather than live being under the yoke of somebody.
Right.
Which I get. There's definitely um, that moral argument that her and him have about that because he is like, look, I just want people to live. I want you guys to
Right.
live because that's ultimately what it comes down to through the course of this season is Loki has made friends
Yes.
that care about him and that he cares about, and he doesn't want to see them destroyed.
Turned
Um,
into spaghetti.
yeah, turned into spaghetti. Um, and and he sees it multiple times happen,
Yeah.
and he tries his damnedest no matter how many times he does it to stop it. And the only and like Sylvie, she's just like, look, I get it, but I'd rather die. I'd
Mhm.
rather become spaghetti than be under somebody's like control, never
Right.
being able to be who I want to be. um and you get that with the story of Brad, um
Yeah.
X, what is it, X5, or no,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah,
No, I think
X5.
you're right. I'll double check.
um but the character of X5, he's one of the TVA officers who decides to live his life on like in a timeline, and he becomes a famous actor and everything, and
Yep, it's
it's
X5.
yeah.
Mhm.
And so he, that's one of the storylines that's going through is just that one of them decides, hey, you know what, I am going to try to do this,
Mhm.
like I don't want to just be this guy anymore. I don't want to be this TVA officer. um and we get the new character of Ouroboros, played by
Yes.
Ke Hua Kwan. um and that's great addition.
Oh,
He's so
I
perfect
love
for the
him.
show.
Yep.
It's great to see him back acting again.
Mhm.
It's just I'm glad, like he's got a cool action movie coming out um sometime
Yes.
this year as well that I'm excited about. um but yeah, he's really great. Everybody's really great in this. You get,
Mhm.
everybody's doing, every you get Mobius, you got B-15, you got everybody back, you get Casey. It's the core
Yeah.
cast right there, all of them. And they're all trying to do what they can to save the multiverse, and to stop it from you know destroying everything.
Mhm.
Um and that's pretty much the crux of the show.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's the thing, like going into this is like rewatching and everything like that. I'm like, look, there's probably a lot to talk about, but like at the end of it all, there's also not.
No, there isn't.
Um,
It's 6 episodes on one problem.
yeah.
It
And
really is kind of like a little under 6 hours on
yeah,
this one situation, but they
yeah,
learn a lot along the way,
they do,
It was the friends we made along the way.
right. Well, and in a lot of it is that it's each of them grappling with the nature of their own being, who
Mhm.
they want to be at the end of this. If they can survive and maintain these timelines, this multiverse, um, what does that mean for them, and where do they go from there?
Right.
Um, and it's they everybody gets to have a little bit of exploration in that, like what does it mean for them. Most of them choose to still work for the TVA. Casey and
Yeah.
Ouroboros and B-15, they all continue to work for the
Mhm.
TVA. uh you know Mobius, decides he got a glimpse at what his life was like, and he decided to,
Yeah.
go look at that a little bit more. I know I'm jumping way ahead.
Yeah, it's fine.
But like, but it's like I said, it's kind of like it's the the
Well,
the
yeah, we're not
series
gonna
as a
sit here
whole.
and get into the mechanics of what they've done
Yeah,
throughout the like
yeah. But there's, all of that um was really interesting. I because the show itself was kind of all over the place because of the shifting timelines and the
Mhm.
back and forth and everything like that. There, it's just kind of like jumbled up in my head right now. But they do go back. They try to uh, Ravonna Renslayer, her and Miss Minutes go back in time to go find an early version of Kang,
Mhm.
to of He Who Remains, because they don't know him as Kang,
Right.
and to get him to the point where he could become He Who Remains. So they convince him. They give him a TVA handbook,
Yeah.
and he creates a version of the Loom with his limited technology in the late 1800s, which was a lot of fun.
I
Those up,
yeah, I thought that
yeah,
episode was great,
yeah,
and having Timely in there was really interesting in terms of,
yeah,
like, a nature versus nurture because, like, in the end, he doesn't want to, tear it all down or control it. He wants to
exactly,
join our band of heroes and try to save it, which
right.
I never got the feeling that that was because that's what I kept thinking the first time I saw it, was that I was waiting for, like, the bait and switch, for, like, the
Hmm.
moment where they were gonna
That
pull
he
the
was
rug
just going to
out,
become
and then
evil.
he was
Yeah,
gonna just, like, turn and be evil and be like, "I just needed you up until this point, ha ha ha."
yeah,
But that
yeah,
never happened. Like, he really sincerely wanted to help them,
right.
and that was a really interesting character choice.
That's not to say that down the road he wouldn't have become who that was.
Yeah, yeah,
But
I guess so.
at least in the interim, he seemed to be more about like, hey, this is like, he was so fascinated and everything, including like, being fascinated in a cup of hot cocoa,
Yeah,
that came from a
and
machine.
yeah, and him and
So
OB fanboying each other was
yeah,
hysterical.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just there were great moments. Like I said, the World's Fair moments were really
Mm.
great. A lot of that was really cool. Just kind of recreating that time period and that look and everything was really fun.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. The aesthetics of this show
yeah,
are
yeah,
unbelievable. Like, I think,
yeah,
like, this and WandaVision, like, the and I will add Agatha all along, which I know we're gonna talk
yeah,
about, but, like, the ability of these Disney Plus production teams to really, like, take an aesthetic and a feeling and carry it through
yeah.
the production design is
Oh yeah,
really unmatched, I think, on television for a television production.
yeah.
Like, yeah, the aesthetics and the set design and everything for Loki
Yeah.
is
It
just
helps that it's only 6 episodes, so they don't have to do it they don't have
well,
to
yeah,
cross so many episodes, but yeah.
but so, so good. I love the aesthetics of this world.
Yeah. No, and I mean that's even extends to the TVA itself. The TVA always feels like this weird 60s retro
Yep.
um aesthetic that they got going on there, with like the even going into the like where they get the pies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's
the
like the
automat.
automats, yeah.
Yep.
Um
And the
So
signs on
love
the
that.
walls. I had
Yeah.
a lot of fun on this watch, like paying attention to the signs on the walls. Like in there, it says, "Keep your
Right.
lunch break to 17 minutes. Try
Yeah, I
not to
saw
have a
that.
lot of extra chatter with you." I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. The very authoritarian vibe going
Mhm.
on there. Like,
Yep.
it's like I get you need to control the timelines and everything, but like, man, like loosen the
Dude,
belt a little
like,
bit.
calm down. Bring your
Yeah.
own mug. That one
Yeah,
made
I
me
saw
laugh.
that. Bring your
Bring
mat
your
or
own
your
mug.
mug. Yeah. I did catch a few more of those this time.
Yes.
Um, and that's what's great about like a rewatch. Because like
Mhm.
I know this is only the second time I've watched the series.
Same.
I watched it the first time going through like one episode a week, which is fine. Like I don't mind the one episode a week thing, but definitely revisiting when I come back to revisit for the show, it's nice because you start catching the things that you didn't catch before, either be things in the background, or the connections, the pieces that
Yes.
connect, that you just didn't quite catch the first time. um so it's like, I was watching, what was it, one of the Disney Plus shows. I think it was during Secret Invasion, that there's a show on YouTube that I was watching. It was like all the Easter eggs and everything else you missed,
Yeah.
via this. And I was like, oh, that's all cool and everything like that, all the connections and stuff. And so that kind of helped when I was, you know, going through it week by week. But like, I don't watch that show anymore. But it was just like, it was fun for a little bit. But like, also at the same time, it's just like, all right, that's enough. I don't need to have everything spelled out for me.
No.
So, but
Everything you missed in the Superman trailer.
yeah,
And it's like,
yes, no, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it's a 2-minute long trailer. We're gonna talk about it for an hour.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I have actually watched one of those Superman
Yeah.
trailer like breakdowns. Because like there is stuff that like I didn't quite catch. There was something I missed. I was like, oh, okay, that's actually kind of
Yeah.
cool. Um, but they're doing it so fast, you're supposed to not catch certain things,
Mhm. Mhm.
So, but yeah, no, with the going back and rewatching this show this time, it was like a lot of that where it was just like it flowed very
Yes.
well. I watched the first three episodes one night, and then I watched the next three episodes the next night. That
Yep.
way I wasn't watching all six of them at once, because 6 hours, fine. I could do it, but I was just like, I don't want to this time. I've done that before where I'll just like, you know,
Mhm.
watch something like a whole bunch. Like the other night, I actually watched like I'd already watched the first two episodes of Creature Commandos, and then I went back and watched the last five all at once. Um, so that's a good show. Um,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, this show, I mean, I think every bit, like every character was served really well. Like even Casey, who's still kind of like a minor character and everything like
Right.
that. I feel like he got a lot more play this season.
Yes.
They beefed him up. Um, you got to meet some of the other people that were running the show, like General Docs,
Mhm.
um and she's I don't know the actress's name offhand, but she was on Game of Thrones.
Okay.
uh, Before. That's where I remembered her from. But yeah, so you get a couple of extra people in there. It's an interesting show. Renslayer gets her due. I like that. Um,
Mhm.
uh, she turns out to be like evil, but like also I think that it's just one of those things where it was just like it's evil, but it was evil out of necessity in a way. Like she didn't have to go that way. She could have
In
made
a
better
way.
choices.
And
Um,
also, it's a little up in the air as far as how much of this was her and how much of this was Miss Minutes pulling the strings.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, the Miss Minutes stuff, and Miss Minutes goes full evil in this. I
Mhm.
love the scene where she goes big giant ghost at the World's Fair.
Oh
That
god.
was so funny.
Yeah.
Um,
I love that. I have a secret to tell you. It's gonna make you mad.
yeah,
Like, oh my
yeah,
god. Yeah.
yeah. No, she's evil. I love Miss Minutes. But yeah, it's just I don't know. The show's a lot of fun. It deals with a lot of like heartbreak and stuff with losing your friends over and over again.
Mhm.
Um and that's all Loki wanted. Like that he just wanted to save his friends. And
Yeah.
then, getting to the end of this, it's like
Mhm.
to do what needs to be done, because ultimately, sure, he could let it go and just let everybody, because the fail safe is that the loom, if it breaks and everything like that, or whatever, it eliminates everything except for the sacred timeline. There was a
Right.
fail. He learns from He Who Remains, because he goes back and he's been time slipping through this whole thing.
Yes.
So he's been able to kind of go back and forth, and he was able to control his time slipping towards the end. And once he was able to do that, he went back and talked to He Who Remains and found out that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they do. The fail
Mm-hmm.
safe is there that preserves the sacred timeline. So it
Yeah.
doesn't ultimately, like, they were screwed. So they had to let it, in a way, they had to let it be destroyed so that he could figure out the best way to do it. And it was so interesting too, because like there's that bit in that last episode where like they're like, okay, well, I need to know everything about physics.
Yes.
And and he takes centuries
Yeah. It
to
would take
learn it all.
centuries, and then
Yeah.
it's just centuries later pops
Yeah.
up on the screen.
Yeah. And then he like literally knows everything. He's just like doing everything. He's like, yeah, I know. Don't worry, I got this. And he's like, no, this thing won't fail. This thing won't fail, and blah blah blah. And he does everything, and then it still
It still
ultimately
fails.
fails. Like
Mhm.
he manages to do it, get that thing out there to the loom to save the loom, but then the loom still breaks and still can't be fixed. Um, So I know I'm jumping all over the place. If you haven't seen the show, please watch the show before you listen to this episode. I should always put that at the top of the episode. Because I'm going to be rambling all
We're
over the
telling you
place.
the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, we're not even like, that's the
We're not.
problem, is I'm
There's so
not
much
telling
going
you.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much going on that I'm like jumping all over the place. But yeah, it's just I love that Loki ends up having to, as much as he wants to save his friends and everything, and he does, he saves his friends, but
Yes.
the way to do that is to lose them at the same time. He has
Mhm.
to be the person to go out there, and the last episode is called Glorious Purpose,
Glorious
which
purpose.
is the name of the first episode as well.
Mhm.
This series is in Ouroboros. So um then they but so he ends up grabbing all of the uh, strands of the multiverse
Mhm.
and imbuing them with his own, I guess, power or whatever, and holding on to them. And basically, he has to hold everything together.
Yeah.
And it's just insane.
It
Um,
is, but I'm
yeah,
glad he's still out there because I was
yeah,
nervous that he wasn't gonna be.
yeah. No, and I think like eventually, I'm sure we'll see him again.
For sure.
Possibly. But right
I
now
don't think the
he's sitting on a
MCU will.
throne.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the MCU will never be done with Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think he'll be done with them.
Nope.
I don't think he's in the same camp as somebody like Evans and Downey Jr., who, I mean, obviously they're not fully done with the MCU either.
Nope.
But I think Hiddleston is more in the camp that of, if they want me back, I'll come back. I'll keep coming back as long as they'll have me. Um
Look, nobody loves Loki as much as Tom Hiddleston does. There is no one on this planet, and I say this as a Loki girl, there is no
Yeah.
one on this planet who loves Loki as much as Tom
No,
Hiddleston
he
does.
really enjoys it. Yeah, no,
He
he
will
has fully embraced
always
that
be back.
character. Yeah.
I didn't know when I looked today, like, I mean, I should have known, but I didn't know that he really did, like, before there were head writers or anything, he sat down with them and, like, mapped this out.
Oh,
Like,
interesting. I didn't know that
so
either.
yeah, I didn't know till and I should have known because he did like, he loves Loki so much,
He
so
wanted to be a part of
yeah,
the
so
the
the
the writing process.
and no one knows him better. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it is his creation, like, it's been
Yeah.
other people's scripts, but, like, this character, this fan favorite character that everyone
Yeah.
feels so many emotions towards, it's because of him and the care and the love that he puts into it, so it
Yeah.
makes sense that he had so much to do with this series, and
Yeah.
I'm just grateful for it because you know how mad I was in Infinity Wars.
Yeah.
Furious. It's not the same Loki, but it
No.
is nice to know that at the end of all of his versions, he comes to some kind of self-sacrifice.
Right. Yeah. And that was ultimately what it had to be for him. He had to sacrifice something,
Hmm.
for for the betterment of the universe and everything. And,
Yeah.
he, is now holding the strands of a new,
Multiverse.
not
Yeah.
not a world tree, but a multiverse tree.
Oh,
So, which was great. I love that look at it at the end. Just seeing him being in the center of that was just it was fantastic.
he got his throne.
He did get his throne, but he didn't
Yes.
want it anymore.
He doesn't
So,
want it, but he's
no,
there. Yeah.
but he's there. He knew he had to take it. So,
Yeah.
um, and that's the true um sign of a good king, a good ruler, or whatever you want to say, is somebody who takes on the burden, takes on the responsibility of something like that, even when they don't want to.
Yep.
It's like with Thor. Thor, to an extent, I mean, Thor's given up control of Asgard and everything in the
Hmm.
movie timeline and everything like
Right.
that. But in the comic books, he's actually king of Asgard, or was king of Asgard last time I was reading him.
Hmm.
Um, because Odin had died. Um, and so it's no, this show is it's a lot of fun, has lots of great moments, and has just some really great performances. I think, Sylvie, I feel, doesn't get as much play in this season as she did in the first one.
I agree.
She definitely took a back seat to everything that was going on. This was predominantly a Loki story,
Hmm.
and I mean, as it should be. But yeah, she definitely seemed to take a back seat to everything. I don't think any other character really took her place. It was like it was Loki, and then everybody else kind of shared um,
Yes.
the rest of the time. Because Mobius didn't take up that much time. Even Victor Timely, as much as like maybe he had more time than anybody else. But I also feel like because we didn't even get introduced to him until midway
We,
through.
yeah, we didn't get to him
So
till like halfway through the show. Yeah.
yeah, and he pops in and out. But yeah, no, it's really, and we got to get a look at some of these people, B-15 and Casey and Mobius's lives
Hmm.
before they became TVA agents. Um, it's interesting during Loki's time slips and everything. It was interesting getting to see that,
Yeah.
um, what their lives were like and could be like, and um, I think that was what was great, was because they were characters that, as much as they did get play in the last season, they were not as predominant as they were this season. I think, like I said, I think everybody got a little bit more um, equal
Yeah.
time this time. Um, but yeah, it's just a good season. Definitely all about the multiverse and stuff. Not like, I mean, it's not like they traipse all over different realities or anything.
Hmm.
But more about like you know, you preserving the multiverse over
Right.
everything else.
Saving
Um,
what's there. Yeah.
yeah. Was there anything that you wanted to mention that we haven't talked about?
Well, I do wonder how much of this was edited or changed in the light of the things that happened, because it does feel like we have a it feels like a complete story
Yeah, I
for
don't.
this
It doesn't
character. I
feel
really
like they
don't think
took
that they
anything out.
did.
Yeah,
I
I
think it's
think they.
just that we
Yeah,
would have been able to follow this in another format, and now we're not.
yeah. I think
But it
that's
does
ultimately.
feel like it ended.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I think it was. I think what they did was they were just like, look, we can't do anything about this. We can't re-edit. We can't go back and reshoot. We've got a firm date we want to release that this on.
Mhm.
We've already teased it, at the end of Quantumania and everything like that. And they were still kind of in the holding pattern at that
They
point.
were.
And so they were just like, look, let's just release it as it is. Let's hope things turn out but for the best. And then they didn't. And then they were just like,
Mhm.
okay, well, we'll
Well,
just
this
leave
is
it
it.
be one and done. And I mean, ultimately, as much as it's frustrating, at the same time, um, Quantumania and this have a fairly finite view on each version of those characters. It's okay if they don't revisit it. I hope that they will in the future. I really hope
Hmm.
that maybe they'll pick up some threads of it, just with a different actor.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and then go more into it again. Kind of go back maybe towards some of their original plans. Who knows? You
Yeah.
know. But I really hope they figure something out with it because I would like to see the character again. It was a great character, and I think
Hmm.
there's other actors that could do the character very well.
For sure.
Um, so, but yeah, I think overall, though, if they don't, I mean, it's fine. But I think they did really well with what they had for these two things, Loki and Quantumania. Um, but yeah, it was finite and done. I think well enough. They ended it well enough that we didn't need to um, focus back on it without. And
Right.
I don't think they did any true editing on it. Not from anything I could tell anyway.
No,
Um,
it still
but
felt like
yeah,
it felt finished.
yeah.
It
And
felt
like it felt like if they were
satisfying
going to
at the
do
end.
something like that, they might have cut more out and like maybe just made the episodes shorter or something like that. Try to cut his parts down as much as possible. But I think it ultimately it would have made the storyline more confusing,
Yes. Than
especially
it
for a
already
storyline that already
was.
was pretty confusing. Yeah, yeah. So
It's yeah, if you're not I mean, I think even if you are mechanically minded, you just
yeah,
kinda have to sit and let it, like, wash over you.
yeah. And I'm a
There's
huge time
plenty.
travel and multiversal fan and everything like that in general. So like, but even some of the physics on there were just like, yeah, I don't get
What?
it. I don't.
Yeah, I
It's like
don't
I'm catching as much as I can, but like I'm not a science person,
No.
so but yeah.
I'm like yeah, there was a lot of things where it's like, "Alright, I'll just take your word for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds good."
But yeah, I enjoyed it all overall. I didn't love Sylvie's haircut in this show.
Well, she's got her '80s
She's got her
vibe
80s haircut. I
with
know. It was
that
the
with
80s
that
McDonald's employee haircut.
yes, with that absolutely insane McDonald's tie-in. I was just about to
Yeah.
say, like,
Yeah, that was
did they
funny.
co-produce this season or like
Right?
what? Like,
That was,
but
but it was weird too, especially if you're a person who grew up in the 80s. Like
yes,
that looked fucking accurate as shit, man.
seeing
Like,
the old like food
oh
containers
man.
and the cups and everything, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
god, this
The
is
old menu
weird.
boards and everything else was just like, man, this is
Yes.
so bizarre.
It just made me laugh that she's like, I'm gonna live my best life, and that's working in McDonald's
You're
in
right.
Oklahoma in like 1986 or whatever
Yeah.
it was.
It was 82 even. It was like
Something
early
like
80s, so
that,
even
yeah.
worse. Oh man, yeah, it was a weird. That location is significant in the comics as well, Broxton, Oklahoma.
Okay.
In the comic books, that is where Asgard after their Asgard experiences a Ragnarok.
Mhm.
And then when it comes back, it appears on Earth,
Mm.
located just outside of Broxton. And then um uh Thor's the only one who's there, and he's told that they can't utilize that ground
Oh.
because that's not because it wasn't because it was somebody who owned that land that
Mm.
Asgard was sitting on,
Oh.
and so he's like okay, and then has it lifted basically up into the sky and just kind of hangs over Broxton at that point. And it was like that for quite a while. Um, Now it's not; it's back up and wherever. Um, but in another realm.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was interesting, and so it was interesting that they kind of tied that kind of Thor history into things.
That's
So
fun.
yeah, so it's always good for the comic book nerds with our weird uh, trivia bits. So
Yep.
I dig it
They
because I'm
threw
one of
you a
those
bone.
people. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, no, it's it. This is I really hope we see Loki in some form. I hope it'd be great. He's able to put those strands down and let the multiverse exist as it is. I'm hoping that we don't go back to a sacred timeline of some sort. Like I get that people are kind of multiversed out, but I
Yeah.
feel like trying to whittle it down to just one thing is you close off potential stories rather than just sacrificing it just because people are tired of it. Just don't tell those stories for a while. Don't
Yeah.
close it off. But just don't tell those stories for a while.
This was a good
Um,
way to do that
yeah,
and keep the character alive
yeah,
because
exactly.
yeah.
And keep everybody alive because they may want to do a Loki season 3 at some point, and you never
Mm-hmm.
know. But it was great too because I mean we even got the CB-15 in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
So yeah, so it was great. We get the TVA still exists. Everything's great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so and now there's a TVA comic book as well.
Oh, cool.
So yeah. So I haven't checked it out yet, but it's
I mean,
cool that it's kind of
yeah.
dropping into the comic book series now. I mean, the TVA existed in the comic books already. That's where they got them
Okay.
from. But they're modeling this version after the TV show. So I'm pretty sure B-15's in the comic book, and then you get some multiverse variants who are like their like I don't know team of people to help solve things and stuff. So it's like Captain
Mm-hmm.
Carter and a couple other
Mm.
people from other multiverses and stuff.
Got it.
So yeah, so yeah, it's the legacy continues
Mm-hmm.
on, and I hope we'll continue to see more of it, even if it's not in another Loki show. That we'll get something, maybe even just a TVA show would be kind of cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but I don't have anything else. I really like the show. The second season was really good. Um, I don't know if it's as strong as the first season is, in my opinion. It's just so different.
It
It's hard to
is very
compare
different.
them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The motivations are different in both. And we have different characters that pop up in this. Like I said, Sylvie's a lesser character in this.
Mm-hmm.
Not that she doesn't play an important role, but that just her presence is fairly lower. But otherwise, I mean, it's it was just a fun show.
It is.
I hope they'll bring it back in some way. Like I said, I hope the characters continue to come back, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So
I love Loki. I hurt
yeah.
myself after finishing it. I went back and I watched the Legends episode. I'm like, why do I do this to myself? Why do I do this to myself?
That's fine. I
But
mean, and those Legends episodes are great because they get you caught up on stuff like
yeah.
before stuff like that. So definitely check those out on Disney Plus as well if you kind of want to just refresh yourself on individual characters,
Yeah.
storylines, and stuff like that. So
Because it's a lot.
yeah, it
he's
is a lot,
he's been
especially at
doing
this
this for
point.
a really
Yeah,
long time when you
yeah,
think about it. Like
yeah.
basically my daughter's entire life, Tom Hiddleston has been
Oh
Loki
my
in
god,
some way.
that's
It's
so funny.
which is crazy,
Oh my
but
god, that's true, huh?
it's
Because
true. It's been a long time. There's a lot
wow,
of story in there. So,
yeah,
and a lot of people who followed it from the beginning. So the fact
yeah,
that they were able to do this show and I think satisfy a lot of Loki fans because the reviews on it on like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff are pretty high and this series was highly rated for Disney Plus, which is great.
yeah.
It
No,
makes
yeah,
me it
exactly.
makes me happy that the show is able to happen, despite all of the roadblocks and
Yeah,
the outside situations that it exists
exactly.
and that it's there and that, Loki's still with us. He's
Yeah,
always with us.
exactly.
He's holding us together.
Exactly. He's holding everything together. He's now become the god of life or
I
whatever it
guess
is,
so.
the god of the multiverse.
Yeah.
He's no longer the god of lies, the god of mischief.
Mm.
He now has his glorious purpose.
Yes. I love him.
All right. Well, why don't you let people know where they can find you online?
Sure. Best place is my Linktree. It's linktr.ee/violet.h.310. And that'll have links to every podcast I've been a guest on. And coming up soon, I have no idea when it's premiering, but I'll be co hosting a Disney podcast on the Film Stories Network with my good friend
Yay.
Jeff. Yes. So that's a good, fun, exciting project that's going to get started. Another topic I can talk about for a long time.
I know. I have
So
to add to your intro that you have your own podcast.
I know. It's kind of trippy.
The
It's
perennial
been
guest
like
becomes a host.
I know. Yeah. And so I mean, yeah, hopefully this year sees my show too. So we'll see. But
Yeah.
some more me yapping on the microphone somewhere. So if you're
All right.
interested in hearing that, visit my link tree.
All right. Well, thank you again for coming on. I always appreciate it.
Yes, and I'm sure we'll be yapping about something else MCU related very soon.
Oh, yeah. Very, very soon, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thanks.
Thanks for listening. Creepy and Geeky is produced and hosted by Robert Clark. If you like what you've heard, please consider giving the show 5 stars and a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And share the podcast on social media to help spread the word. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or at creepyandgeeky.com. You can follow the podcast by going to creepyandgeeky.com and clicking on any of the social links. If you'd like to follow me, you can find my links at geekthulu.com. You can support the podcast by ordering teas and more on TeePublic or by donating to the coffee page. All of the links are in the show notes. Finally, don't forget, stay creepy.